The lie about the prostate is one that has circulated in locker rooms and doctors' offices for decades, leaving many men over 50 feeling confused and even a bit guilty about their own natural urges. I'm Dear Emily Carter, and as a urologist who has spent nearly 20 years helping men navigate the complexities of their reproductive and sexual health, I have seen firsthand how much misinformation exists regarding the frequency of ejaculation. We are often told that after a certain age we should simply expect things to slow down, or conversely, that we must maintain a certain pace to remain vital. Today we are going to peel back the layers of these myths and look at the actual science behind what happens to your body when you ejaculate every day. This is not just a conversation about pleasure. It is a vital journey of discovery into your cardiovascular health, your immune resilience, and your mental clarity that could quite literally change your life. Many of my patients come to me with a sense of hesitation, wondering if their daily habits are a sign of a healthy libido or perhaps a sign that they are overdoing it. In a world full of conflicting headlines, it is difficult to know what constitutes a healthy rhythm for a man in his prime years. The truth is that there is no universal yes or no answer because the human body is far more nuanced than a simple checklist. However, research provides us with a fascinating roadmap of potential benefits and potential problems that every man should understand. If you have ever felt that your sexual health was a taboo subject, I want you to set that feeling aside today as we dive into the facts. Before we go any further, I want to encourage you to subscribe to ElderWell Living and hit the notification bell because understanding your body is the first step toward a longer, more vibrant life. If you have questions as we go along, please share them in the comments, as your experiences help us build a more informed community. When we talk about daily ejaculation, we are essentially talking about a systemic event that touches almost every major organ in your body. It is a frequent question among men who are aging: is this habit helping me stay young or is it wearing me out? To answer that, we have to look at the immediate physiological response. From the moment of arousal through the point of release, your heart rate climbs and your blood flow improves throughout your entire body, not just your genitals. This process triggers vasodilation, which is the healthy widening of your blood vessels. For a man in his 50s or 60s, this increased blood flow is like a mini workout for the circulatory system, ensuring that oxygen and nutrients are delivered more efficiently to tissues that might otherwise be experiencing the slower circulation that often comes with age. Furthermore, the hormonal cascade that follows is nothing short of a biological reset. Your brain becomes a laboratory, releasing a potent cocktail of chemicals that regulate everything from your mood to your perception of pain. We see a surge in endorphins, which act as natural painkillers, and a rise in dopamine, the neurotransmitter that fuels our sense of reward and motivation. For the aging man who might be dealing with the daily stresses of career, family transitions, or the physical aches of a life well lived, this natural release can be a cornerstone of emotional stability. But the story does not end with a boost in mood. There is a protective element here that many urologists find incredibly compelling regarding the long-term health of the prostate gland. We have long suspected that regular activity acts as a cleansing mechanism for the prostate. Think of it as a way to flush out potentially harmful substances and old cells that might otherwise accumulate and lead to inflammation or worse. This is a proactive approach to men's health that does not involve a pill or a complex procedure. It is a natural function of the body being used to its full potential. As we move through this discussion, I want you to consider how these physical benefits might be playing out in your own life. Are you noticing more energy, better mood, or perhaps you are worried about the flip side of the coin? While we celebrate the positives, we must also be honest about the psychological and physical risks of overfrequency, such as the potential for habituation or the use of ejaculation as an emotional crutch rather than a healthy release. Finding your unique balance is the key to longevity and vitality. When we look at the internal biology of a man after the moment of release, we are witnessing one of the most sophisticated neurological events the human body can produce. This is not merely a physical sensation. It is a profound chemical reset that can serve as a natural fountain of youth for the aging brain. As a physician, I often explain to my patients that when you ejaculate, your brain effectively releases a cocktail of feel-good chemicals that work in harmony to stabilize your internal environment. The first and perhaps most vital components are endorphins. These are your body's natural painkillers and mood elevators. For a man in his 50s or 60s who may be dealing with the daily aches of joint inflammation or the weight of chronic stress, these endorphins provide a necessary reprieve, lowering the perception of physical discomfort and lifting the heavy fog of a demanding day. Simultaneously, you experience a surge of dopamine, the neurotransmitter most closely associated with the brain's pleasure and reward system. This is the chemical that makes you feel motivated and satisfied. In the context of aging, where some men feel a decline in their zest for life or a sense of flatness in their emotions, the regular activation of the dopamine system through healthy sexual release can help maintain a sense of reward and engagement with the world. However, the cocktail is much more complex than just pleasure. We also see a significant rise in oxytocin. Often referred to as the love hormone, oxytocin is instrumental in promoting feelings of bonding, trust, and deep relaxation. In long-term partnerships, this hormonal pulse acts as a biological glue, reinforcing the emotional connection between partners and fostering a sense of security and calm that is essential for mental health. Finally, we must discuss serotonin, which plays a crucial role in regulating mood and contributing to an overall sense of well-being and happiness. Low levels of serotonin are frequently linked to irritability and depression, which can become more prevalent as hormonal balances shift during the middle and later years of life. By triggering the release of serotonin through regular ejaculation, you are essentially providing your brain with a natural mood stabilizer. This hormonal release is exactly why many men report feeling profoundly relaxed, happy, and content immediately following an orgasm. It is a systemic cooling down of the nervous system. The cumulative effect of these regular hormonal pulses can contribute to a significantly better overall mood and a measurable reduction in chronic stress levels. When we consider the impact of stress on the aging body, how it raises cortisol, hardens arteries, and disrupts digestion, the ability to naturally mitigate that stress through a biological process is a powerful tool for longevity. This chemical fountain of youth does not just make you feel better in the moment, it helps create a more resilient psychological foundation. As we transition into discussing how this affects your physical rest, it is important to remember that these chemicals are the precursors to a deep, restorative state of being. This natural sedative effect is not a sign of weakness or fatigue, but rather a sign that your body is functioning exactly as it was designed to, utilizing its own internal pharmacy to keep your mind and spirit in balance. By understanding that these chemicals, endorphins, dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin, are working together, we can see why a daily or frequent habit is so attractive to the male physiology. It is a way of self-regulating in a high-pressure world. But as your doctor, I also want you to recognize that this internal pharmacy requires a healthy lifestyle to stay stocked. This is why I often recommend a diet rich in amino acids and healthy fats to support the production of these very neurotransmitters. When we combine the physical act with proper nutrition, the benefits for your mental clarity and emotional stability are multiplied. This sets the stage for our next focus, which moves from the brain down to the vital organs that sustain your life every single day. The most significant conversation I have with my patients often revolves around the long-term protection of the prostate gland, a small but mighty organ that becomes a central focus for men as they age. Several major studies have explored the link between the frequency of release and the prevention of disease. One of the most notable and frequently cited pieces of evidence is a long-term study from Harvard University that followed over 30,000 men for nearly 2 decades. The results, which were published in the esteemed journal European Urology, revealed a fascinating trend: men who ejaculated frequently, specifically 21 or more times per month, demonstrated a significantly lower risk of developing prostate cancer compared to those who did so less often. This research provides a compelling evidence base that regular ejaculation plays a protective role for the prostate, though it is not an absolute guarantee. As a urologist, I find the leading theory behind this phenomenon to be incredibly logical from a biological standpoint. It is believed that frequent ejaculation helps flush out the prostate, effectively clearing it of potentially harmful substances, toxins, and old cells that could otherwise build up, cause inflammation, and potentially become cancerous over time. Think of it as a natural irrigation system for your reproductive health. For a man in his middle or elderly years, maintaining this flushing mechanism is a simple, non-invasive way to take a proactive stance against one of the most common health concerns facing men today. When we talk about a daily or near-daily habit, we are essentially discussing a maintenance routine for one of your body's most sensitive areas. However, the benefits of this frequency extend far beyond the prostate and into the very core of your vitality, your heart and circulatory system. During sexual arousal and the subsequent peak, your heart rate increases and blood flow improves throughout your entire body, not just your genitals. This process triggers vasodilation, which is the healthy widening of your blood vessels. This expansion is highly beneficial for your cardiovascular system because it ensures that oxygen and nutrients are efficiently delivered to all your organs and tissues. In my practice, I often tell my patients to think of this as a mini workout for the circulatory system. Over the long term, this regular cardiac rhythm can contribute to better heart health and may even assist in maintaining lower blood pressure. For the elderly audience, where arterial stiffness can become an issue, the natural expansion and contraction of blood vessels during this process helps keep the system flexible. It is a form of passive exercise that supports the hard work your heart does every minute of the day. When you combine the prostate clearing benefits with the cardiovascular boost, you begin to see why frequent release is often associated with a more robust physical constitution in aging men. Moreover, we must acknowledge the impact on the immune system. You might not immediately think of this habit as a way to fight off a common cold, but some research suggests it can indeed help. Studies have indicated that sexual arousal and orgasm can increase the levels of certain antibodies, specifically immunoglobulin A or IgA. This antibody serves as one of your body's first lines of defense against viruses and bacteria. By helping to lower stress levels through the hormonal release we discussed earlier, regular ejaculation indirectly supports a stronger and more responsive immune system. Chronic stress is a known culprit in suppressing the immune system, making you more vulnerable to illness as you age. Therefore, by maintaining this habit, you are not just protecting your prostate and heart. You are giving your entire body a better chance to stay healthy and resilient against external threats. One of the most profound yet often overlooked advantages of frequent ejaculation for the aging man is the dramatic impact it has on the quality of rest. If you have ever noticed an immediate wave of sleepiness following release, you are experiencing a very specific biological phenomenon that acts as a natural sedative. This is largely driven by the release of a hormone called prolactin. In the male body, prolactin is released in significant quantities immediately following an orgasm, and its primary role in this context is to induce a deep sense of relaxation and satisfaction. For many of my patients who are navigating the high-stress environment of middle age or the common sleep disturbances that come with elderly years, this hormonal shift is a powerful tool for reclaiming the night. It signals to the nervous system that the day's biological work is done, allowing the body to transition from a state of high alert into a restorative phase. As a urologist, I frequently treat men who struggle with insomnia or the frustrating experience of waking up in the middle of the night and being unable to return to sleep. The chemical cocktail we discussed earlier, including oxytocin and endorphins, works in tandem with prolactin to lower the body's stress levels, the biological factors responsible for wakefulness. When stress is high, the brain remains in a state of hypervigilance, making it nearly impossible to drift into the deeper stages of sleep. By triggering this natural hormonal release, you are essentially providing your brain with a non-pharmacological sleep aid that is far more aligned with your body's rhythm than many over-the-counter options. This natural sedative effect can lead to better quality sleep and, as a direct result, significantly more energy and cognitive clarity during the day. Furthermore, the relationship between sleep and physical health is a two-way street. Deep sleep is the period during which the body undergoes its most intensive cellular repair. For men after 50, this is when testosterone production peaks and when the heart rate slows to its most efficient baseline, allowing the cardiovascular system to rest and recover. When you use the natural relaxation of ejaculation to facilitate this sleep, you are indirectly supporting your long-term heart health and hormonal balance. Many men in my clinic report that once they establish a healthy and consistent sexual rhythm, their reliance on sleep medications decreases, and their overall sense of daytime vitality improves. It is a virtuous cycle. Better release leads to better sleep, which leads to better health and more energy for your daily activities. I often advise my patients to pay attention to the timing of this habit. While every individual is different, Utilizing this natural sedative effect shortly before bed can be an effective strategy for those who find their minds racing at night. It is about working with your biology rather than against it. Instead of fighting the natural urge to rest after release, embrace it as a vital part of your recovery process. The sleep revolution is not just about the hours spent unconscious. It is about the depth of that rest. By leveraging the power of prolactin and the calming influence of oxytocin, you are setting the stage for a nervous system that is resilient, calm, and ready to face the challenges of the following day. This restorative aspect is a cornerstone of why I believe sexual health remains a top priority even as we age, providing a bridge between physical pleasure and the foundational need for deep, healing rest. While the physiological benefits of frequent release are substantial, it is essential to look at the other side of the coin to ensure our habits remain serving our well-being rather than hindering it. As a physician, I have to help patients distinguish between a healthy, life-affirming habit and what we call a psychological compulsion. If you enjoy ejaculating daily and it integrates seamlessly into your life without causing distress or neglecting your duties, it is likely a sign of a vibrant and healthy libido. However, the situation changes if you begin to feel an overwhelming, uncontrollable urge to perform the act every single day, to the point where it starts to interfere with your professional responsibilities, your social life, or your personal commitments. This loss of control is the hallmark of compulsive behavior, where the act is no longer a conscious choice made for pleasure or relaxation, but rather a perceived necessity that you cannot ignore. This transition from a healthy routine to a psychological trap often carries a heavy emotional burden. Men may begin to experience profound feelings of guilt or shame, which can indicate an underlying psychological issue that requires professional attention. In the middle and later years of life, we often face unique pressures: retirement, health changes, or shifts in family dynamics, and it is during these times that we are most vulnerable to developing such compulsions as a way to cope. It is vital to recognize that if the habit feels like it is owning you, rather than you owning the habit, it is time to pause and reflect on the why behind the frequency. One of the most common reasons men fall into this trap is the use of ejaculation as an emotional crutch. Many people turn to this release to mask or cope with uncomfortable feelings such as chronic stress, deep-seated anxiety, fear, or even simple loneliness and sadness. Because the release of pleasure hormones like dopamine and endorphins provides immediate, albeit temporary, relief, it functions as a highly effective short-term coping mechanism. The problem arises when this becomes the only method in your toolkit for dealing with negative emotions. Using it as a crutch prevents you from developing or maintaining more sustainable and healthy coping strategies, such as engaging in regular physical exercise, practicing meditation, or seeking the support of a close friend or a professional therapist. In my clinical experience, relying solely on this physical release to manage emotional pain effectively masks the underlying problem without actually addressing the root cause. This can be particularly detrimental to your long-term emotional health, as the original stressors remain unaddressed and often grow more complex over time. For the aging man, mental resilience is just as important as physical strength. If you find that you are using this habit to numb out or escape from the realities of your life, I encourage you to see this as a signal from your body that you need more diverse forms of emotional support. I often work with my patients to identify their triggers. Are you reaching for this release because you are genuinely aroused or because you had a difficult day at work or a disagreement with a loved one? Understanding the motivation behind the action is the first step in reclaiming control. For many, simply becoming aware of these patterns allows them to reintegrate the habit into a healthy, balanced lifestyle. We want your sexual health to be a source of joy and vitality, not a hidden weight that causes you distress. By maintaining this self-awareness, you ensure that your daily routine remains a pillar of health rather than a psychological burden that detracts from your overall quality of life. While we have discussed the many ways daily release can support your system, it is crucial to address a phenomenon I often see in my practice, which I call the performance paradox. This occurs when the brain becomes overly accustomed to the constant and predictable release of pleasure hormones, leading to a state of desensitization. For a man in his 50s or 60s, the neurological pathways that process reward and arousal are incredibly sophisticated, but they are also subject to the laws of habituation. If your brain's reward system is being activated every single day in the exact same manner, it can become desensitized over time. This means you may find that you require more intense stimulation to achieve the same level of satisfaction, and your overall spontaneous desire, that natural spark that makes you feel vital and alive, may actually start to decrease. This is a counterintuitive reality for many men. They believe that by practicing every day they are keeping their machinery in top shape, but the brain needs variety and recovery to maintain peak responsiveness. Furthermore, we have to consider the biological refractory period, which is the recovery time a man needs after an orgasm before his body is physically capable of becoming aroused again. While this period naturally varies, constant daily ejaculation can keep your sexual desire at a lower baseline because you are never allowing that internal pressure and anticipation to fully rebuild. Essentially, you are keeping your system in a perpetual state of post-release recovery, which can rob you of the drive that contributes to a robust and active sex life. In my clinical experience, one of the most effective ways to address this is through a deliberate sensory reset. Sometimes, a short period of abstinence is the best medicine for a flagging libido. By stepping back for a few days, you allow your dopamine receptors to recover and your natural physiological cycles to peak, which often results in a reignited sexual spark and a much more intense and satisfying experience when you do return to activity. This is not about deprivation. It is about optimization. It is about ensuring that your body remains a finely tuned instrument rather than a machine running on autopilot. We also need to discuss the specific risks associated with rapid daily masturbation, which is a common habit for men with busy schedules. If you are rushing to the finish line every day simply to get the hormonal hit or to help you fall asleep, you are essentially training your body and your brain for a sprint rather than a marathon. This conditioning is a form of negative muscle memory that can be very difficult to unlearn. It often translates directly into premature ejaculation during partnered sex, as your nervous system has been programmed to reach the end as quickly as possible. This can create a frustrating cycle of performance anxiety, where the fear of not lasting long enough leads to psychological erectile dysfunction. When the focus of your sexual health shifts from genuine pleasure and connection to a rushed performance or a daily chore, the damage to your sex life can be significant. It creates an environment where the mind is preoccupied with worry rather than being present in the moment. For the aging man whose confidence may already be impacted by the natural changes of the body, this added layer of anxiety is unnecessary and avoidable. By being mindful of how you engage with your daily habits, savoring the process rather than rushing it, you protect your long-term performance and ensure that your sexual health remains a source of joy rather than a source of stress. Finding that balance between the benefits of release and the necessity of recovery is the true secret to a long and fulfilling sexual second act. While many men in their middle or elderly years may not be primarily focused on reproduction, the science of fertility provides a vital window into the overall vitality of the male body. As a physician, I often explain that your sperm count and the quality of your semen are key indicators of your internal health. When you ejaculate every day, your body is put into a constant state of production. While it is true that sperm production is a continuous process that never truly stops, a full recharge of the system ensuring that sperm are not just present but are fully matured and at maximum concentration can take time. This means that when ejaculation occurs on a daily basis, the body simply does not have enough time to replenish its reserves to their peak levels. This inevitably results in a lower sperm count per individual release. For most men who are not actively seeking to father a child, this temporary decrease in quantity is not a medical problem. However, if you and your partner are in a season of life where you are trying to conceive, this frequency can become a significant factor. In such a specific scenario, I always recommend spacing out ejaculations by 2 to 3 days. This allows the concentration of sperm to reach a higher threshold, which significantly increases the statistical likelihood of successful fertilization. It is a simple matter of biological resource management. Beyond fertility, this replenishment cycle is linked to your overall energy levels. For some men, the metabolic cost of daily production can lead to a sense of physical depletion, particularly if their diet or rest is not optimized to support such frequent activity. Furthermore, the quality of the seminal fluid itself is an important aspect of your sexual health. Semen contains a variety of nutrients designed to protect and nourish sperm. Frequent daily release can sometimes lead to a thinning of this fluid, as the system works overtime to keep up with demand. While this is rarely a cause for health alarm, It is a reminder that our bodies operate on a balance of output and recovery. For the elderly man, ensuring that the body has the raw materials such as adequate hydration and specific minerals is essential if a daily habit is maintained. I often see patients who feel a decline in their physical vitality when they overextend their system without providing the necessary recovery time. It is also worth noting that the physical act of producing and maturing sperm is tied to your endocrine system. When the body perceives a constant demand for release, it prioritizes those pathways. By understanding the replenishment cycle, you can begin to see your sexual health as a rhythm rather than a constant stream. Allowing for those periods of recharging can often lead to a greater sense of physical power and a more robust feeling of masculinity. Whether you are concerned about fertility or simply want to ensure your body is functioning at its highest potential, respecting these natural cycles of replenishment is a hallmark of wise aging. This perspective allows us to view the male body not as an inexhaustible resource, but as a sophisticated biological system that thrives on the intelligent management of its most vital functions. As we conclude this exploration into the science of your sexual health, it is important to realize that there is no magic number or universal frequency that is right for every man. The journey through middle age and into the elderly years is deeply personal, and the key to longevity and vitality lies in the two pillars of balance and self-awareness. If ejaculating every day makes you feel good, reduces your stress, improves your sleep quality, and does not interfere with your daily responsibilities or emotional stability, then it is likely a very healthy and beneficial practice for your unique biology. You are leveraging your body's natural pharmacy to maintain your mood, protect your prostate, and keep your cardiovascular system resilient. However, the wisdom of aging involves a willingness to reassess our habits when the landscape of our health changes. If you feel that your daily routine has become a psychological compulsion, if you are using it to avoid dealing with underlying emotions, or if you are noticing a decline in your sexual desire and performance, it might be time to introduce more variety and recovery into your rhythm. Your body is a sophisticated instrument that communicates its needs through your energy levels, your mood, and your physical responsiveness. The most important thing you can do for your long-term health is to listen to your own body and mind with honesty and compassion. If you have concerns about your sexual health, or if you feel caught in a cycle of performance anxiety or compulsion, I want to remind you that these are common struggles and there is no shame in seeking professional guidance. Speaking with a doctor or a mental health professional can provide you with the personalized tools needed to restore balance to your life. We are living in an era where we can optimize our vitality well into our later years, but this requires us to be proactive and informed rather than relying on myths or habits that no longer serve us. I hope this deep dive has provided you with a clearer understanding of how this personal habit affects your physical and mental health. By understanding the science behind the benefits, from the potential decrease in prostate cancer risk to the boost in immune function, and being mindful of the potential pitfalls like desensitization, you can create a blueprint for a vibrant sexual second act. Remember that your health is a continuous journey, and staying curious and informed is the best way to ensure your golden years are lived with strength, joy, and deep satisfaction. If you found this journey helpful, please give this video a thumbs up. Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to ElderWell Living so we can continue this path of discovery together. Taking care of your sexual health is an act of self-respect that resonates through every aspect of your life. It is about more than just a moment in time. It is about sustaining the fire of your vitality for decades to come. Stay proactive, stay balanced, and most importantly, stay well. I look forward to seeing you in our next exploration of what it means to age with power and grace. This journey through the science of male vitality reminds us that our bodies are designed for resilience when we honor their natural rhythms. By balancing frequent release with mindful recovery, you empower yourself to live with greater clarity and physical strength. Take these insights, listen to your body, and step confidently into a future of health and fulfillment.